silence sure is golden for Kamala Harris. Now, the US Democrats' last-minute decision to dump President Joe Biden and replace him with Harris in November's presidential election against Donald Trump is so far paying off big time. Polls show she's surged ahead of Trump, at least in the popular vote. And that's in part because in the nearly 3 weeks that Harris has been the candidate, she still has not given a single interview to a journalist or a single press conference, which is extraordinary. Except when you remember that Harris is still a hopelessly woke lightweight.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
Now, to avoid embarrassments like that, she's only given tightly scripted speeches, really sticking to the text, except for one tiny slip. Very interesting, when she was with Biden last week, welcoming home prisoners freed by Russia, and tried to give Biden credit. She spoke only very briefly, but straight away it didn't take long for her to slip into one of her daffy word salads again.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy.
Oh, what did that last bit even mean? Joining me is Sean Spicer, the first White House spokesman of President Donald Trump. Sean Spicer, great to see you again. Look, the polls are now showing Kamala Harris actually leading Donald Trump. It's incredible. How much trouble is he in?
Well, look, the biggest obstacle that the Democrats faced was their candidate had an issue with fitness for office. The second that you remove Joe Biden with the equation, frankly, Andrew, anybody would have done better. I mean, that's the reality. They removed the biggest obstacle from so many independents and right-leaning Democrats wanting to support the Democratic nominee. We knew that would happen. You go back the last several elections, it's been tight. The only reason, I mean, I hate to be blunt, that Donald Trump was leading by the amount that he was that debate really showcased for the country and, frankly, the entire world how concerning Joe Biden's situation was. So they removed it. I don't think that this is a huge endorsement of Kamala Harris. I think it's anybody but Biden. That being said, if I were Trump's campaign, the game has changed and they need to adjust accordingly. They need to understand that the strategy, the tactics, the messaging is very different. But it's the Biden-Harris agenda. She owns the chaos that came out of our financial markets today. She owns the chaos that is happening in the Middle East today. All of these things are a reminder of the policies of the Biden-Harris. And if Donald Trump can focus his message on his record and her record as vice president, he will win. He will pull this out. He's got to avoid the name calling and the nastiness, because that's not what the voters in these key states are looking for, right? They want a reason to vote for him, and he's got to give it to them.
Sean, that's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. I mean, you know, his team must be pulling their hair out because you've got the chaos in the Middle East, potentially war with Iran. Biden was soft in Iran. Trump was tough. You've got the big slump in Wall Street as well. Now, I know that's more a market correction than, you know, maybe signifying something terrible, but it's highlighted terrible economic policies, high inflation, all that kind of stuff. This is part of her legacy too, and it's the personal. Now, I noticed that Kamala Harris is running away from real scrutiny. As far as I can tell, not a single interview to a real journalist since she took over the nomination. There's not yet a debate. There's an argument about the debate and what terms there'd be with Donald Trump. What's up with that? Is she doing the Joe Biden strategy, essentially, of hiding in the cellar? Is this their idea that the person who will beat Donald Trump is Donald Trump? So don't expose yourself too much.
Well, yeah, I think there's two parts to the strategy. What you just said, which is, hey, let him go out there and say stuff, right? Because they're excited that I'm not Joe Biden. I mean, it's not that people are fired up about her. They're just like, hey, good, Biden's gone. And secondly, and we saw this the other night on the tarmac with the return of those Americans that were kept in Russian captivity. She, at any opportunity, says just weird stuff, word salads. And that was a moment in which she starts going off unscripted. And so her campaign knows that whether it's interview or just an unscripted moment in front of supporters, that she'll say things that can be used against her. So I think that they have decided to take a strategy that says, for as long as we can get away with it, and I frankly would bet you that she goes all the way to her convention on August 19th without doing a single interview. This goes back to why. Just because, I mean, number one, our press is giving her a pass. And number two is, what do you gain out of it, right? You and I and others look at this and say, this is ridiculous. But if you're her team and the strategy's working, why would you expose yourself to that? And I think that considering the fact that the media here in the United States will give her a pass, why not take it, is, I think, the strategy that they're employing.
But absolutely, you can complain all you like, but if she's winning with it, keep going, I should imagine, although America will be the loser.